A very good evening to one and all watching us over here. Welcome to the Intern Talk by Mechanical Engineering Association for the year 2022. So, here we'll be discussing about all the various domains in which students can do internships. So, what is an internship, first of all? Basically, before you get placed, you work in a company or under a professor or in a project or something to gain some experience. So that is what an internship is. Like the internship period could be 4 weeks, 8 weeks, or even more like 6 months, etc. So basically, doing an internship gives you a work experience before you actually start working in some company or uh, on some good big project or something. So for all the students, it is mandatory for everyone to give to do an internship in the end of the third year. So it is basically a 2 credit course, and based on that you will be judged. So here we will be discussing how to get internships in various domains. Let's begin with Yatin and Savar discussing on core internships.
Good evening, everyone. Um, I hope my screen is coming through. Yeah. Okay. So let me just start the presentation. All right. Savar and I will be talking about the research internships in the core domain. Now, a quick, brief description about us. Savar, can you go ahead?
Yep, sure. Can you move to the next slide?
Yeah. Is it loaded?
No.
Okay. Um, over
Yep,
now?
yep,
Okay.
yep. So about me, my name is Savar Shirbate, and I'm a mechanical third year engineering student. I'm part of the 3D aero modeling club of the college. And as for experiences, in my second year, I've completed an intern at IIT Kanpur under aerospace department, and a second at NIT Trichy under the mechanical department. Now, Yatin, you can go.
Yeah, I'm Yatin. I'm also a third year mechanical engineering student, and I'm a member of Designers Consortium, the official product designing club of NIT Tirchi. Talking about my research experience, I have undergone 2 internships, one in IIT Roorkee under the computational mechanics department, and one in IIT Kharagpur under the robotics department. Now, coming to why should one pursue research internships? So, first things first, you gain really good, valuable exposure to the domain of your research. Now, your domain of your research would be your area of interest. It would be something that you would want to further pursue your higher studies in. Now, doing a research internship in that particular domain would help you decide whether as to this is something that you really want to do in your career, or this is something that you want to shape your career along. So that research internship would actually give you a good learning experience to that, and you can decide accordingly. Second, it would help you to work in a team if you are assigned a team that you're working under, or if it's a solo project, you help. It helps build your communication skills with whoever you're assigned. Say, for instance, your mentors and your professors, how you would be communicating to them at what stages, things like that. And it also helps in your application process for your higher studies. Now, the professors that you work under, you can definitely approach them, and if they're really impressed with your work, they would not hesitate to give you a letter of recommendation, which would be very handy for your applications for further studies. Yeah. Savar, you
Okay,
can go ahead.
I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so next major point on why you should do research interns is it is a safe bet. It does not close any doors for you. Like say later on you decide that say I do not want a career in research. I want to go have a placement, do a job at a company. Your research intern is a good foundation for you in this domain. So like say you decide say after getting some research intern you become a little bit knowledgeable, specialized in a particular topic. when you apply for jobs later on through placement or externally you apply for jobs, this these research interns act like give an idea about what is your field of specialization, and they give you more specialized jobs based on that. Then the next major thing is it gives you an idea of how masters and doctorate, which basically a PhD works. So like what you do in a research intern, the what we'll be explaining later on, and that kind of work is what you will be continuously doing during your masters and during your PhD. The idea and the logic of work is exactly the same. We can move to the next slide.
Yep.
Okay, so when you decide that I want to do a research intern, there are several stages associated with it. Now we'll one by one take you through the separate stages which are a part of selecting and getting a good research intern. So the first and foremost thing, like without which there is no meaning to what we are doing, is selecting a topic. So there are few things to keep in mind while selecting a topic. Have a general domain in mind, like say I want to do aerospace or I want to do robotics, like a very general domain in mind, because that will give you that will start your channeling process as to what topics you want to look at. Then look for topics under that domain which might be suitable for you or which you might be interested in. So basically like can you move to the next slide? I'll explain through that.
Yeah.
Hmm. So consider like this is a brief breakdown of how selection process should go. Like, say I was interested in aerospace, which is the very general domain. It has so many internal sections in it. There is core, there is avionics, there is autonomy, which is your MLAI stuff. So for me, I'm particularly interested in core. Now, when I'm thinking of core, there are so many internal sections in it, like there's fluids and aerodynamics, there's structural, there is propulsion. So I am personally interested in fluids and aerodynamics, so I went for that. Can I go to the previous slide? Yeah.
Yeah.
So uh, this is what you mean by looking for suitable topics which are good for you. And then one important thing is keep your domain wide. uh, like when you're searching for topics also, don't go so specific that the number of professors who you can contact for that topic are so limited that the chances of you getting interns is decreased tremendously. Keep your keep your topic which is a little bit wide enough. Like as I said, I was interested in fluids and aerodynamics. Now when I say that, there are so many internal things. There's jets, there is liquid flow, there are many internal topics, so keep your topics wide enough. Yeah, then you can continue.
Yeah, and it's that's a very valid point because you are not you have not yet completed half of your college. Most of you all watching are in your first years and second years, so you wouldn't have a really good idea as to what exactly you would want to do. So that's a really good reason to keep your domain wide. It gives you a lot of options that you can choose from, and once you pursue one of them, you can have an idea of whether you actually want to do that. So that way you can rule out topics, or you could even pursue the one that you like, under which you did the internship in. Then you do not want to make a really drastic jump. Say for instance, you are interested in core mechanical topics. Now you wouldn't want to simply switch up and go for a software intern. That wouldn't look good on your resume. It wouldn't make sense as to wherever you would be applying. Say you're applying to a mechanical engineering institute abroad. Now, if they have a look at your resume and you have listed your major internships in software, or any software companies that you have worked for, it wouldn't really make sense. So do not do those things. Just have a take a step back and have good moment where you research about whatever you like. Only then you start thinking about whether you actually want to work in them, and then pursue the work, and so on and so forth. And yeah, that brings us to the last point, where you'll have to research properly about the topic. Just because it sounds cool, you do not choose it, because you shouldn't regret what you uh, do later. And a quick thing about how I chose my topic, similar to Savar, I was also interested in core, so I chose, yeah, obviously mechanical. Now, mechanical branches into major subcategories. The two main ones being core and applied mechanical. Out of these, I saw how they branch out. You have computational mechanics, solid mechanics, fluid dynamics, and for applied mechanical, you have product design and mechatronics. Now, with the projects that I had worked for with the club that I'm associated with, I narrowed it down to computational and product design and so on. So I pursued my research intern in computational mechanics. And so it was interesting. So this sort of flowchart method is something that you can use if you're really not sure about what you want to do. Yeah, we'll move to the next slide.
Cool. So once you have decided that I want to go pursue in this domain, and then after that you have decided like this topic particularly interests me, the next thing you have to do is search for profs in that topic. And it is very fair to call it academic stalking because literally that is what you're doing. So one thing about this process is it is a very very time consuming process, but at the same time it is very necessary because if you don't do this, you will be, there'll be you'll always have trouble keeping up with whom you mailed, who you did not mail. So it's better to have gone through this process properly. So how do you do a search? So there are three methods which you should follow. One is a direct search. Now under direct search, there are what basically you have to do is go to the various institute pages and go to their particular department pages where you want to intern in. Check out the faculty pages under that department, and there you'll find a list of professors. Now, uh, can you click on any one of the link?
Yeah, I think it will redirect me to a site which I may not be able
Okay,
to
okay,
show here.
okay, fine. We can leave it then. So
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
the idea is the link will take like you have to go through different faculties as such, which basically tell you professors take you to the professors in that university or college. Now in the along with their names, there's a list of there's their contact details as well as their research interests. Go through these research interests, see which of these match with yours. Now, many of these profs even have links they are attached to their websites, their particular personal websites. Now, these websites have many details like, say, what topics they cover, what their research interest is, their previous publications, and what are their current ongoing projects. Now, these will give you an insight if this prof is ideal for your particular topic. Now, there may be topics which you have no clue about, which are completely blank to you, but are linked to your field. So you can research about these on Google, like are they linked to you or if they are useful to you, and then select profs on that basis. Now, once you have done that selection, you need to maintain a prof database. Can you go to the next slide?
Yeah,
So basically, your job is to maintain a list of professors whom you can mail or whom you should mail and when you should mail, etc. So if you can see here, this is my database. So the main idea is you need to list out the basic details in, like, at least in general you need to list the basic details, that is, say what institute you're applying to, what professor, what department, what research interest or field he covers, and his contact details. So those are the basic things. Other than that, you can also add in fields like what domains you are applying to him for or you're willing to apply to him for, and whether mail send, and like there are remarks you can add based on what reply the professor gives. Can you move to the next slide?
yeah,
So this is Yatin's. So here you'll see that there is a separate column called H index as well. So here basically an H index, many of you might know, is how is criteria in which the professor's publication ratings are given, which is basically an idea of how much the like how many papers a professor is publicizing generally, or what are, or how many people go through his papers. So this gives you an insight into that. So that can also be used as a judging criteria. So this is how you can generally determine whether like you can keep a good handle on what all professors you're applying for and what all who have accepted you or who have rejected you, and keeping you in the loop, and so that you don't messy, you don't be messy in your mails. You can move to the next slide.
Yeah, one quick thing I'd like to add, to make the database maintenance easy for you guys, you can color code it, say for instance, depicting the status of what they replied with, as how Savar had talked about in the previous slide. And you can even add spaces to distinguish between each set of universities that you have listed down. Yeah.
So as I mentioned in the very beginning, there are three methods. So the first one was direct searching. Now, other than that, many professors and institutes, they have a section in the website itself called projects or student projects, where they're actually looking for students for certain projects. Keep an eye on these, because there is a greater chance that you can get in through these than by direct searching, because the institutes or the professors actually want students for these positions. And finally, the last point is, do not skip out NITT. Most of our profs have really good projects, and they are generally looking out for students. And these will also be a good starting experience for you. And finally, two side points, that there is no restriction on whether you want to apply within, like in a remote online manner, or if you want to be in an offline on-site manner. Because yeah, there are, you might want to go to some other city to pursue your project. And at the same time, you can apply outside the country too, but that would be in a remote manner.
Yep. Cool. So, having that out of the way, your main document, the one that reflects your skill set, it is essentially a reflection of who you are, your resume. So, now we'll go over really important tips that you should be following when it comes to building your own resume. We'll split this topic into two. One is a set of instructions for basic guidelines that you'll follow. Second would be the content wise, what actually goes in the resume and how you would put it in your resume. So, talking about the basic guidelines, firstly, use a simple and easy to read template. Now, you do not want to make your resume all really fancy and things like that. You do not want it to be like a poster. It should be very easy for a person to understand things at first glance. Okay, and make sure you proofread your resume multiple times. You do not want to have any spelling errors or any grammatical errors of that sort, because it is the document that reflects you, and first impression is the best impression. Now, about the formatting, your resume should be very well sectioned. We'll come to that in the next set of guidelines. And generally, your resume should not extend over 2 pages. However, it is advised that you maintain it in 1 page, but 2 pages is the max that you can go with. Now, it should be concise. Everything should be to the point. You shouldn't write paragraphs and stories in your resume. And you should deliver in few words. Everything that you have, all your skill sets should be reflected within few words. Yeah, be true to yourself. Now, do not simply bluff in your resume. See, because it would be tempting to, say you look at others' resumes, you might get influenced by it. You might think that you do not have all the skills to offer. So there might be a temptation wherein uh, you'd want to put more than you actually can offer. But that is really dangerous, because profs usually assign projects based on your experience. Your experience is what you put in your resume. Now, if you really do not have that experience, you would create a really bad impression when you actually get that internship. So you really do not want to do that. Again, do not use fancy fonts, because, as I already told you, it's not a poster, it's a resume. Keep it simple. And you can build your resume manually on Microsoft Word and then print it as a PDF. But then you can also take help of websites like Overleaf. It's a really famous one for resume building, wherein you can code out your resume and choose a template that you like, and you have a sample code. You can learn how that works. It's pretty simple to get yourself used to. So these are really important basic guidelines that you'll be following, that you should be following when you make your resume. And about the content specific guidelines. Okay, so when it comes to internships in the core domain, at least, your resume needs to be really technical. It should highlight and reflect all of your technical skills. That is what you have to offer if you're given an internship in this domain. Now, whatever projects or say internships, any experience that you have in your background, put all of them in your resume and prioritize them highly over your extracurricular activities, because you are really not going to be using your extracurricular activities in a research internship, to be honest. It's your background and expertise that count over here. Now, your projects and internships that you have done while in your past, you'll have to explain them in bullet points. As I had mentioned, do not write paragraphs because you want the reader to understand everything at first glance. So maintain that formatting throughout your resume. Write everything in bullet points. Highlight any numerical data that you have, anything that supports your work. And again, about sectioning, as I had mentioned in the previous slide, have proper sections. Say you can have one section for your educational background, and then you can go to your projects that you have done. Then you can go to your internships that you have done, your internship experiences. You can even have a section called positions of responsibility where you highlight the important positions that you hold in your college work. It need not be coursework generally. And achievements can also be put in your resume. That's also pretty important. Don't worry, we have linked our resumes over here. You can check them out. You'll have a better idea as to how you can properly section your resume. Maintain relevancy throughout the resume. This is something that we had talked about a few slides ago. You'd be say you're applying to a core internship. You really do not want anything out of the blue randomly appearing in the resume. It would throw some people off. So maintain relevancy, have a proper format, and you're all set to go. Yeah.
Okay, so now comes the actual mailing part. Say like you've collected your documents, you've made your resume. Now, what to do? So now you have collected your mail IDs of professors. You have made your resume. You have say you have other documents which you want to show. Maybe you collected those as well. Now coming to what how you will approach the professor. So like in short, you cannot simply put your resume and a few docs and say give me intern. I don't think he'll like it either, or it's not going to help you either. So when the main thing when after your resume is done is making a cover letter or writing a proper mail that might impress the professor, as well as it'll help ease out your process of getting an intern. So as I've told earlier, it is this is your like before your CV is clicked, your first impression is your mail or your cover letter that you'll be attaching in the mail. So as the main things that we need to look at in a mail or in a cover letter is are the points that the professor will be interested in the first go. So these are basically details relating to these are basically general details relating to what are your qualifications, what you're expecting from the professor, and other common details which I'll explain in the next slide relating to the particular format of a mail. Yeah, can you move to the next slide? We'll cover the main points itself. So, in general, this is a format of a general cover letter meant for second years who are not having any projects as such, who are just new to the project idea of project and are like um, have just started searching for interns, which is basically your category right now. So there are certain things to be followed. The first thing, I don't think you can see all the points clearly, so I'll just explain what I've written. So once you start a cover letter or your mail, you generally have your salutations like respected, or the name of the prof, etc. Do not mention respected sir and all. It generally gives a down impact. Refer by the doctor last name or professor last name. That is a general format you should follow. Then comes your introduction. Here you basically tell about what is your name, what is your which college you're from, what is your CG, or if you have a presentable CG, put your CG. You can attach your CV here if you want, so that the first insight of the professor is to click it there itself. The next part is topics you want your project under and period, etc. So what you're doing in this part is you're basically talking about you basically try to tell the prof that I am actually looking for a research intern, and what topics you want to work under. As you have researched previously during selecting a topic and during professor database selection, you have selected certain topics. You can note them down here, and then you can tell what period you're looking for the internship. This is also the place where you can talk about what the professor has achieved, or what part of his career has impressed you, or if there is any particular paper that you're interested in, of his, you can talk about that. But at the same time, you should make sure it should be you should keep it technical. Like, don't add too much butter that the prof will directly reject you. Keep it technical, keep it short, and at the same time, impress him a bit. Now the next part is relevant courses. Now, since you don't have previous internship experience, the only way you can present yourself is by telling about your previous courses that you have taken. So tell about the courses which match your requirement. Like, say you have some good courses, like, say, I did aerospace, so I have fluid mechanics, so I've added courses like that. If you have done any online course, you can mention that as well. Once you've told about all this, the next major section is the projects. If you're part of any technical clubs, or if you have worked as a group for certain projects, put those projects, those might have some reports, try linking those reports as well, because those are the only way the professor can actually judge you. And finally, after you have done your projects and given an explanation for those, you can put in extra points like, you have experience through various clubs, and you will be interested in learning more, like you have certain knowledge, etc., in certain areas. Yeah, so those are extra points you can put in, and like you can give some sentimental part as like, you'll be interested in learning more on so and so topic, etc., and then uh, you can end the mail. Again, one important point to keep in mind is, don't overextend the mail. This is in a bigger font. Keep your mail as short as possible, but try covering as much content as possible at the same time. You can And yeah, one important thing is, if you have previous research intern experience, put those instead of relevant courses, because that is more valuable to the professor than the courses you have taken. If you can, if you have anything to add, you can add, or you can move to next.
No, no, I guess we're good to go. Yeah. So, yeah, about the timeline. Now, let's say uh, you want to do your summer internship. Like most of you all pursue your internship in the summer. Let's take second years. So, now, when should you start? Because this whole process might seem overwhelming. We have talked a lot about all the phases that we have had. So let's bring it together and give you a smooth process as to how you would be following them. Okay. So these are the four main stages that you would be involved with when it comes to pursuing a research internship. That is applying for and then actually getting an acceptance. Now, the first phase would be obviously research. You identify your interests, you research more about the topics that you like, and if you're not able to pursue any projects in them, you can always take up online courses to back up your expertise or knowledge in that domain. So, yeah, a good time to do this would be uh, right now. Yeah. So you have your holidays going on right now. You can take up any courses that you like. You can work more on any projects that you've already been working on. Build up your skills, build up your knowledge in these domains, and identify if you actually want to pursue higher studies in this. It would be a really good option then to go for a research internships in these domains. Now, about the document collection phase. So this is the stage where you prepare your resume. You bring in all your skills. You follow all the guidelines that we discussed with you. Make a neat resume. You get all your transcripts and your certificates from the institution. Keep that stage up to date. Whichever semester you're in, make sure that you have all these documents up till the previous semester, because say this is your third sem, your fourth sem is going to start soon. So make sure by the time when you get your third sem results, apply as soon as possible for these documents, so you have everything up to date. And about these points that are in italics and underlined, write your SOP and receive LORs. This is not something that you would actually be using for obtaining research internships when you're directly mailing profs. This will be for the fellowship programs. We'll be discussing that shortly. Yeah, this also can be done parallelly. This phase of document collection can be done parallelly. Now, going on to the database, we have explained what needs to be done. This can be done in a as soon as you get done with your research phase, wherein you identify your interests and you shortlist your areas of interest. Cold mailing, it would be a good time if you want to do your internship in your summer. It would be a good time to start your cold mailing by latest Feb mid. You can start by Jan end, but get all your mails sent by the second or third week of February. The sooner you get a confirmation, the better off you are. Yeah, prepare a cover letter as how I had discussed. Do not mail many profs from the same institute at the same time. It might lead to those mails ending up in the spam folder for them. And schedule your mail so that it reaches them early in the morning, because the first thing that they do in the morning is most likely to look at the emails. Last thing, be patient. Do not get hassled or frustrated because you're not getting replies. It takes a lot of mails. It took a lot of mails for us to get an acceptance before we actually pursued a research internship. So, most important point is be patient. Yeah.
Okay. So as Yatan has told about the mailing process during the last time, adding up a few more points about it, as he had told, keep patient. You will, and like it is understood that you will have to send a lot of mails. It is not possible that you send two mails and you get both as positive replies. There are chances you might have to send 15 or 20 mails, sometimes 35 or 40 mails, and to reach a good position, like to have someone give you replies. Now, many a times, what happens is professors tend to ignore mails. They might not see it because they are very busy people as well. So, over 1.5 to 2 weeks, keep following up on the mails. Basically, by following, just send in a small mail saying, I hope you have seen my previous mail, so and so. So, just a small follow up mail to keep them in line that I had previously sent a mail. Please have a look at it. So, yeah. So, that, keep following up over a period of 2 weeks. Now, if coming to a situation where he or she likes your profile, you have a really good profile, your CV is really good, these topics are matching, so and so. If that is happening, he might call you for an interview. May have like generally happen, but there are certain cases where you get selected without an interview as well. But say that there is an interview happening, so he will generally like your interview will generally cover very standard topics on what your fields of interest are, and are you a general team worker, etc., etc. And there may be a few technical questions, so that's how a general interview goes. Now, what to keep in mind is an interview need not guarantee that you get the intern. There are many of us who have got elegantly rejected from interns after the interview. So it is good to keep applying, even like if the professor tells I need certain time to wait to think about it and all, keep mailing in that period so that you don't lose out on other professors who might want to take you. Once the interview is done, or say like if the professor has decided to select you, he will ask for other details like what period, or whether the intern is credited. As Nishi had said in the very beginning, our third year interns are credited, so they have 2 credits, while your second year interns are more of a resume based purpose, which could help you later on. So you have to give proper reasons, and like he'll give suggest certain good topics. One thing to keep in mind is, even while this conversation is happening on mails, try to don't do not become very friendly and formal with the prof. The prof might judge you just because of that. Then what happens once you have accepted the internship, our next thing is what happens during the internship, or what the professor expects from you. So mostly what the professor expects from you differs from professors to professor, and he will mostly keep a meet to explain what has to be done. Now, this generally includes reading research papers or getting done through simulations, etc., depending on what you're researching about. So, whatever it is, be credible in your work, be honest, be truthful in your work, because if you are lying in your work itself, it is a really bad sign. And you need to know that you're ambassadors for the upcoming batches. So if the second year interns go bad, second year students who are applying now, they get an intern and they perform bad in their intern, the first years will get affected because the prof will not select them. Then there are certain cases that a professor might attach, yes, might give you a PhD mentor. It is better to always report to him regularly, keep him updated about the topics that have been assigned to you. If you have doubts, ask him. And only when even he is unclear on the topic, it is better to approach the professor. Do not bypass the professor. It acts as a bad sign. And then finally, at the end of your intern and project, make sure to ask the professor for a letter or certificate of completion or internship. Now, what this does it is your only official document that you've actually worked under the prof. There is nothing else to say that you have done the project under him. So at the end of the internship, it is your responsibility to get this letter. We can move to the next slide.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to the last few topics that we have to discuss with you all. A few additional important points that you'll have to keep in mind throughout the whole process. Maintain a good CGPA, irrespective of what others say. People might say that it's not a big deal, but uh, do have a good one. There's no harm in doing so. It is difficult, but then if you really have a good CGPA, you won't have any troubles in any application processes as such, because there are eligibility criteria for many programs that are out there. So the major criteria being CGPA shouldn't be an eliminative factor for you all. Now, do apply for technical clubs. Even if you don't get in, you learn a lot about what goes into the process of getting into clubs of those sorts. You even get exposure to different domains that the club actually major in. Now, yeah, as discussed earlier, take up online courses, pursue self projects. These will help build your whole skill set. And as Savar had mentioned before, work under NITT profs, do not rule them out. You'll get a good exposure to the realm of research. Yeah, Savar.
Yeah, so other than that, basically be patient. Like there are many place times you will get frustrated while sending mails. As we have been telling, you might send 20, 30 mails and still not get positive reply. Be patient, don't stress about it. Same thing during the intern also, you might not get results that you're expecting or results that you want. Again, be patient, think of new ways, do not stress about it. It'll not help anyone. And again, as we have been iterating again and again, don't expect instant replies. Everything takes time. Be patient and keep your calm. Yep.
Cool. Finally, we'll talk about a lot of fellowship programs that are there. We'll talk about a few of them. Now, research internships can either happen through cold mailing of profs, wherein this is what we've been discussing till now. You select faculty that you like and you pursue a project under them, or it could be through fellowship programs where an intermediary or organization is there that matches you with professors, and you end up doing projects under them. Now, these fellowships would actually act as scholarships, as they provide you stipend, and so that would be a really good thing for you if you're not able to manage things like accommodation and food expenses wherever you're posted at. Now, I'll quickly talk about a few Indian programs that are available. Firstly, there is Spark. I guess the deadline for that has gone, but no problem. You can still apply for it in your third year. And all the first years that are here, you can apply for it in your second year. This fellowship is open to second and third years. It is a fellowship program for research interns in IIT Roorkee. The portal is very user friendly. It's really not difficult to use. All that you need to do is listed over there. Follow the procedure, be patient, and hope for hope for good results. It'll be a really good thing if you get this. Surge IIT Kanpur is also another fellowship program. It is similar to Spark, but it's meant only for third years. Look out for this program as well. SRFP is another one that is based of IIC Bangalore and NAS. Now, the deadline for this has also passed, but you can look out for it next year, especially the first years, because you'll be in your second years that time. Look out for the other ones as well. There is IIT Delhi Summer Research Fellowship, It only prioritizes students from IITs and NITs, so that's a good thing for you all. And maintain a good CGPA for that. It's regardless to whatever fellowship that you're applying. Have a good resume. Have all the important documents. Be true to yourself, and it'll all work out. And about the international programs, Divya will be talking about that soon. And yeah, feel free to contact us at any point that you want to. We'll be sharing this presentation with you all, so don't worry. We'll be happy to answer any queries that you may have. Thank you.
One second. Yeah, so thanks, Savar and Yatin, for the detailed info on research internships. Now, next we'll be talking about robotics. So, Divya from third year mechanical engineering, she will be briefing you all about the domain of robotics and how to apply for research internships in the same.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Yeah, I'm Divya Abhi from third year mechanical engineering. I'll just give a small intro about myself. Yeah, I'm a robot enthusiast and I work in all domains of robotics, but my primary interest lies in AI, CV, and ML, and I'm part of Robotics and Machine Intelligence Club of NIT Trichy. And I've done an internship in IIT Kharagpur. It is a 1 year plus long internship. So I've done 3 projects under the same prof. One is collaborated with the Tata Motors and it is implemented in the Jamshedpur branch. I've been working on few other interns like self-learning robot and cognitive robotics. If you're interested, you can message me. And yeah, I'm a MyTax scholar. MyTax happened this year and I've been selected for MyTax, and I'm still applying for other opportunities too. This is a small intro about me. Okay, so my friends Savar and Yatin have talked about core. So how robotics is different from core? Robotics is a major part of mechanical engineering, right? So how exactly it is different from core? Robotics has varied domain like mechanics, control, AI, ML, and other simulations you can work on. So it has lot of domains and it is interdisciplinary too. Like you can work on 2-3 domains together at once. So it's highly interdisciplinary. So let's say a person in core if he is doing fluid, he has a very narrow field. But when you take robotics, if you are a robotics engineer, you have variety of field to explore. That serves as a pros and cons both. But I'll just be listing out how to narrow your cons and how to explore more of pros. And while being a robotic engineer, we have to be specific. We can't work on all domain at once. You can, but while approaching a prof with respect to research internship, I'm telling you, we have to be specific. For example, I always used to mention AI, robotics and AI. So whenever I wanted to work in robotics, I wanted to work in AI in robotics. So be specific in what you have to do if you're interested in robotics. And yeah, if once you started working in AI, later you got you want to shift the domain. Let's say you wanted to shift to controls or mechanics or something, you can still feel free to shift the domain in your in later. In second and third year, if you worked in a particular domain and you wanted to shift in your higher studies, you can definitely shift it. So I will be explaining about the abroad fellowships, and my friend Yatin have explained about the Indian fellowship. So there are few bunch of famous abroad fellowship like MyTax, DAD, SN I'll just give a brief intro about all those. MyTax generally happens for third years, and it happens at during September. You can check the eligibility criteria. Second years can apply next year. MyTax is is a program which people tell it's quite random, but it's actually not, and it's actually so. I'll tell how exactly it is random, and I'll tell in the upcoming slides about dads. DATS is somewhat CG oriented. If you are 9 plus, you can definitely try for DATS, and SNBOS is for department rankers. BWS is bad in Waterberg Stipendium. It is a German fellowship. What exactly? This BWS, just note this BWS things with Charpak. These three are very similar. First, we have to mail to the prof. Here, this is just a scholarship. They won't be matching your profile to the professors. Yatin would have told how exactly the matching process happens. But over here, you won't be matched to a professor. Instead, you have to search your own professor and apply with help of acceptance letter from the professor. You have to apply to the fellowship. BWS is a German fellowship, so you have to mail to the German prof and get acceptance letter, and later apply to the fellowship. And things is same as BWS, but it's for Switzerland, and Charpak it's for France. The procedure are same. You have to get an acceptance letter. Once you get an acceptance letter, the process will be quite chill, but it doesn't guarantee you a fellowship. It it is just that it's much difficult to get the acceptance letter than to apply for a fellowship. And EPFL, regarding EPFL is the most chillest program that you guys can apply for. You can apply just in 10 minutes. It's a very short application process. It doesn't require any letter of recommendation. You have to just format a SOP and good to go. That's it from EPFL. And this EPFL deadline will be around December first week. This time it was December 1st. So next year you can check it out for you. Check it out for your deadline. And NTU India Connect. Yeah. As you know, NTU has a MOU with NIT. So NTU basically has two programs. You can check it out. That's available for second years too. You can check it out, the two programs. But majorly NTU India Connect happens in December, November, December month. So next year you can check it out that too. And this year the deadline is not still over. It's still 31st, I guess. So you can go check it out after this talk. And VertiB, CERN, and RIA. VertiB is for circuitels. CERN, you would have seen that big neuron collider. So that is CERN. The application process is quite chill like EPFL, but they are more related to physics. So if you're very much interested in physics related stuff, you can go check it out CERN. Later, and yeah, so Indian fellowship was explained by Yatin. I'll move to next. Yeah. How thing cold mailing, this also is covered by my friends. Basically you need to have database, cover letter, resume, transcript, and patience. How exactly this database will differ from core database, I'll be explaining you. In core, you just have to check it out in mechanical department, but robotics, as it is highly interdisciplinary, you have to search through the all departments, including biotech, production, whatever. Environmental science also have some. They really have very good labs sometimes than mechanical engineering department. So you have to definitely check it out in all departments. Majorly it will be in CS, ECE, EEE, and MEC. But there are a lot of chances that robotics lab will be present in other departments too. So don't forget to check it out in other department. And there will be regarding robotics, there will be specialized lab too. For example, in IIT Bombay, there is a lab. The professor won't be in the faculty list, but there is a lab. In that lab, there is some professor and research scholars who are working on robotics, AI, and ML stuff. So don't miss out opportunities like those, because they are the one who will be willing to take you than professor, because they are majorly inclined towards research. And what else differs is we should have a column with related to professor requirement. As robotics is highly interdisciplinary stuff, the professor requirements will differ. from person to person. Just have a column. I'll show you. Yeah, this is my database. Just have a column what the prof is looking for example, the prof is looking for a long term project and he is mostly related to CV and ML. So while writing a cover letter, Yatin and Savar told that second paragraph you should be mentioning about what impressed you about the prof. So in the second paragraph you should mention about as if your area of interest is perfectly aligning with them. So make sure you create a column like this and you change the second paragraph from prof to prof. And cover letter should be personalized as I told. uh, as it is highly interdisciplinary, your area of interest should exactly align with the prof area of interest. If the prof is control or mechanic prof, don't mention AI and ML at the first. Just mention control and mechanics. If the prof is AI and ML, mention it that at the first. Be specific and align your interest with the prof interest. uh, One common mistake that I have did in my second year is in in robotics, as I told, there are 5-6 fields. I've mentioned all the field in the area of interest in my resume. So what happens is that you will put forward your interest in front of the prof as if you don't have a particular area of interest. You just want to increase your chance of acceptance. uh, this is how you put forward. So don't do do like that. Instead you have to I don't know if this is visible. Instead you have to narrow down your area of interest. Choose one or two particular stream and mention only that. And you can also make resume personalized resume for prof. For example, if the prof is working in simulation, you can have simulation in your area of interest. If the prof is working in AI, you can put AI in area of interest. That is also fine. But if you are applying for scholarships like MyTax, DADS and all, make sure that your resume is area of interest in your resume is very narrow, and be specific. And order of heading, in robotics resume, your area of interest should be below your education, because the prof will not read the need not waste the time in reading old resume if your interests are not matching. So you should highlight those points telling that your area of interest is actually matching. You should catch the prof attention for just a 2-3 seconds is looking into your resume. Okay, so we have been talking about a lot about internships. So why exactly we need an internship? What is the impact of the internship in your research career, or if you wanted to do IELTS? My JK will be coming next. He'll be explaining about the impact of internship in your placements. I'll be explaining more towards IELTS stuff. So while applying for IELTS or any other third year internships, you will be writing SOP. SOP is statement of purpose. You should be convincing the panel members saying that you're fit for the program. Basically, you can take any program, it doesn't matter. So to write a strong SOP, you should be able to convince them with your projects. For example, I've been working on cognitive robotics. So if I'm applying for any cognitive related project in my tag, I should be able to convince the panel members saying that I am a good fit for their program. Basically, it helps a lot for writing a SOP. And strong LOR. What is a strong LOR? There is two types of LOR. That is, one is academic LOR, and if you do an internship in any company or startup, that is you can get LOR from there, but that is not an academic LOR. But a majority of the program expects you to submit at least one academic LOR. And when a prof writes it on his institute pad, and he can actually mentor you day by day. He can actually see you day by day what exactly you're doing, what exactly your progress is. So he will exactly know how to write a LOR, and it can be a strong one. Because he has also done his PhD, you know exactly how to write a LOR. But if you're working in any company or startup, they will not know how to write an LOR, and once if you write a LOR, the panel will get to know that you have written it, because you are just writing one LOR, but they are reviewing thousands of LOR daily, so they'll clearly know that you have written the LOR. One major takeaway from the internship is strong LOR. And matching process, as I said before, in fellowships like MyTax, or whatever, it can be Epfl, other fellowship, where you won't be get you need not have acceptance letter. Other fellowship where the matching process happen, when you write a SOP, it is more, it more tends to match with the related prof. For example, if I'm working in a collaborative arm and I'm having collaborative arm in my application, so there is more chances of it getting matched to the prof. uh, that's about the matching process. And the CUC versus waitlist is same. If in for example, take MyTax program, uh, your old application will be sent to an AI first, and that AI will review your old application, and professors will have some expectation from you, some requirements. So if the professor requirement and your requirement are matching, it will give a percentage of match. If it is above a particular tolerance, say a 60-70%, your profile will be sent to the prof. Or else, if the percentage is not matching, the profile itself will not be sent to the prof, and it will be directly going to waiting list. One main impact of internship is that you can actually convince the panel member. Also, it will be helping you to write a SOP, or helping you throughout your application to get matched with a particular prof. Okay, so research internship versus company internship. What are pros and cons of research internship? As I said, you need an academic LOR for a year, so that you will be getting only through research internship. And proper research culture. In research internship, you will be assigned a PhD mentor, and you will be at the start of the project, you'll be doing literature review. You will be reading lots and lots of papers and noting down the important points, their abstract, their result, everything, what the paper is exactly coming to say. You'll be noting down about everything, so that will you won't be experiencing that part in a company internship. And interaction with PhD scholars. Here, a PhD scholars will be allotted to you, and you will be constantly be in touch with the PhD scholars. You will be learning a lot from their experience. And you are over here, you are open to a creative ideas. You are not constrained anywhere. You can think anything out of the box. Your result doesn't matter. Your creativity matters over here. You from anything out of the world, you can bring into a paper, and you can publish. You can do it in your internship. You can try it out. It doesn't matter if you get results or not. Main area of research internship is to try out something new. But that doesn't happen with company internship, because in company internship, they are paying you or not, that doesn't matter, but they need some results. Your work needs some results, but that is not so in research internship. So it's open to your creativity, and obviously due to LORs, SOP, it gives edge in IOS and better opportunity to publish paper, because there is no constraint to creativity. And company internship, what are the takeaways from a company internship? It is mostly paid, but it won't be much for second years. And if you think about third year, yeah, the campus internship pays you decently, but in your second year it won't be much, so don't get demotivated from that point. And industrial work culture, you will be exposed to, if it is startup company industry or implant training, whatever, you will be exposed to industry level work culture. You will know that hierarchy. But in a research internship, the hierarchy will not be there. And that is purely a research culture, and this will be a purely industrial work culture. And your work will be implemented in time. In research, your work will be implemented in real time, But in some cases what happens is, you just have to produce some results. You have to think creatively and think out of the box. That is what research internship is meant for. But in company internship, your work will be implemented real time. Your hard work will be paid off at the end. And opportunity to build network and gain contacts. Obviously, as there are hierarchy, you will meet lot of people with lot of different interests. You will gain lot of contacts. That's the end of my presentation. If you have any further doubt related to robotics, IOS, or research intern, you can contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya, for the amazing talk on robotics domain. Next, we would like to call Jay Keshav, who would be briefing us about the robotics domain in startups.
My Hi everyone, my name is Jay Keshav, and I'm a third year student mechanical engineering. Basically, the same batch as everyone who spoke before. And I hope I'm audible. If I'm not audible, the organizing team can let me know. So today I'll like to talk to you about my experience in a startup-ish environment in on a robotics type intern. Okay. So first, so just for a bit of context, I'll describe on the project that I was working on. So we were trying to develop autonomous underwater vehicles or AUVs, which are basically like drones but underwater. So you can see me here. I- with my first ever prototype is it's the prototype of the prototype, so it's like kind of rudimentary work, but it was very interesting. And yeah, and so the work that I did, I was working on the mechanical design and the fabrication of the whole AUV or the autonomous underwater vehicle. So I was working on the structure of the AUV, and there's something called the moving mass actuator, the fins, and the component assembly, etc., etc. Right. So it was completely mechanical work for me, although I worked in a robotics domain. It's a robotics intern basically. So this is what Divya mentioned, that like you can either work on all the aspects of the projects of robotics projects, which will include your software, your electronics, and mechanical. But it's also that you will be hired to do only one thing, which can be just mechanical engineering alone. So my work was just about the mechanical aspects. So I was working in mechanical design and fabrication. So maybe this might be relevant. The skills, the concepts that I applied, the things that I learned that I applied in my internship are basically the stability for underwater systems and the strength of materials, which if you're second years, you might have already had in your course, and fluid mechanics and additive manufacturing and manufacturing of materials, of metals, sorry. So yeah, so we do apply this if we do a real world engineering thing, and just make sure that you pay attention. And the skills and the tools that I used are CAD and simulation, computer aided design, which is basically like you would have heard about SolidWorks, and you might have heard about other CAD softwares like Fusion 360, which is my personal favorite. And we had to use techniques like 3D printing and CNC machining for the fabrication thing. So these are the skills that you might like possess to work on a relevant mechanical engineering project. Right? Cool. So, so you have heard, I think, quite enough about how research environments are, right? So now, like maybe now you need to have an idea of how startup environments are, basically. So if you work at a startup or if you work at a company, so my internship was basically a mix of both. You can call it a startup or a company. Okay, it's basically the same thing that goes on here. Okay, there is a time crunch. Okay, a deadline means everything. So you should be able to give your output, and their philosophy, the work philosophy that you have is just to get the model working and show the output. That's all you're here to do, right? And new ground is rarely broken, but there's a hunt for the know-how, meaning you don't invent something new. Like you don't in research internships, you work on previously unexplored and uncharted territories. But in a startup or a company intern, you don't do that. You take up the information that you have, whatever has been established, um, and you try to implement it and get it working in real life, meaning which is basically the output. Whatever you're working on should be able to work. That's the whole idea behind a startup and startup internship or a company internship, right? So it's not like you won't be doing new things. It's not like you won't be breaking any new ground. So there's a difference. There might be technologies that are never integrated together, and you might be integrating them together, right? But you won't be involved in the development of those completely new technologies. So there's this slight difference that happens in the slight difference in the type of work that you do in a company and a research internship. And it's just pure development. Like research is very minimal. It's just developing, and that's basically what goes on in a company internship, right? So now this might be relevant here on how I got the opportunity. Like I think first years are also attending, and to second years also this might be relevant to a certain extent, where you might be applying for your first ever internships, right? So for a research internship, as they said before, it's important that you have some prior experience, because when there are candidates who have experience, the prof doesn't necessarily waste time or resources in getting you trained in whatever area or domain you need your training or relevant expertise in. So so you have to have a way to, you should project that you should have something in hand. You should have a project or should have some kind of previous experience in hand. So if it's your first ever internship, you don't have previous internships to rely on, right? So one of the ways you can get around that is by participating in competitions. So in my second year, I participated in a competition called EANTRA or EYRC, which stands for EANTRA Robotics Competition. It's connected by IIT Bombay. And in that competitions, our team actually secured the first place, and we were one of the top five finalists to proceed to the competition. So coincidentally, or by like good luck, the company that I was working on, they wanted like people with expertise or knowledge or working knowledge in the area in which the competition also aligned in, right? So which is basically drones, control of drones and simulation and stuff like that. So the company wanted like people who are good in that, which including mechanical design and stuff. So they contacted people who actually won the competition. In this case, you would have noticed that the company actually contacted us. Like it's complete opposite of cold mailing that was experienced before. So they contacted us and they asked us. They held interviews, and we got the internship opportunity out of that. Right? Cool. So it's actually, if you don't have a project in hand or if you don't have previous internships, it's very competitions are a very good way. And if you do end up winning the competition, you also have something to add to your resume. So that's very good. The next thing. So in company interns, the recruiters, that is the companies, what exactly are they looking for? So yeah, it's true. They don't really. One of the things about the difference between a company and a research internship is that they don't really care about your academic performance. It's your skills that count, and if you can do something well, you will be hired for it. That's the whole philosophy. So if you do have a low CGPA, you might you have a higher chance of getting an internship at a startup or a company compared to research with a prof at a university, because at least at this level, one of the ways the profs judge your research capability or your caliber is your academic grading. And yeah, I would like to stress on the fact I think Yathin touched on before, is that you don't know the pain of having low CGPA unless and until you have a low CGPA. So like, don't experience that. Make sure you have a good CGPA no matter what anyone tells you, right? And another thing that people are looking for is having a base level working knowledge. Like this will be very useful if you're working for a company internship, is that you should have a little bit of base knowledge. If you're applying for a robotics company, you should have a little bit of knowledge in all the domains that are going on. That is a little bit of knowledge in electronics and computer science or software and mechanical, whichever it is. You should have a base knowledge on everything. This will help you kind of tie the whole team together and work with the other teams more cohesively, and your output will be better in that way. So this is a very highly desired characteristics, and your work ethic and your enthusiasm is what will make you stand out in a company environment. So this is kind of cliche, right? And so what can you get out of a company intern, right? Or a startup intern. First off, you learn the work culture that goes on in there. And I haven't done a research internship until now, but I think it's is kind of different to how a research intern and it's kind of different compared to a research intern, right? Mainly because of the timeline and the pace of work that is required. Next, you learn how to work with other teams and how to collab with other teams. So this is kind of like an underappreciated aspect in a candidate, because the way you interact with others has a very very big impact on your output and the way you behave, and the way the whole organization behaves. Okay, so you learn important aspects like that, and most of all you'd be applying what you learned. I think I previously mentioned the concepts, the academic concepts that we would have learned, and I actually had a chance to apply that and see that how it turns out in real life. And I can say from experience that theoretical knowledge is not the same as having real life work experience, because work experience is very very important. Okay, so it's like it'll tell you what works and what doesn't work. So that's a very yeah that's why people, even though theoretically things are established, like making it work in real life it's a totally different art. So you'd learn a lot in that aspect, and then you learn to get creative to meet a deadline. I think for the first years you would, like if you're an engineer, you would get creative to meet a deadline. So that's another thing that you would learn in an startupish kind of environment as well. And yeah, you get to see definitive results and the impact of your work. So that's something. So this concludes my report or share of my experience on how my startup intern went and what I got from it, and what I hope you can get from working in similar environments as well. So I hope this was useful to you. And my name is Jay Keshav, and I don't have my number typed out or my contact information typed out over here, but feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions through the Mechanical Engineering Association, or yeah, ask around. You'll probably get it. I'll try to drop it out in the chat box if possible. Right. Cool. Hope to see you all on campus pretty soon. And oh, sorry, I'd like to stop sharing now. And Nishi, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Jayakesha, for sharing your experience in startups. So next we'll have Anirudh and Srinivas with us to talk about analytics and management.
Hello everyone. So I hope I'm audible. Can the backstage team confirm it once? Yeah. Okay. So let me just like share my screen right now, and we can start with today's presentation. So, yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Welcome to Intern Talks, guys. First years and second years. So I'm Anirudh Sriram. So and today like Srinivas and me are going to talk about like internships in management domain. So we know that like management is like a pretty new domain for you guys. So don't worry, like we'll be starting from the basics, so like from the scratch. So first things first, about us. I'm Anil Sriram, a pre-final year student in mechanical engineering and a management consulting enthusiast. So I'm also a senior consultant at 180 Degrees Consulting NID Trichy. My past experiences include like I did my summer internship at a startup called Drop as a user research intern. Like I know the term is kind of new to you guys. Like I'll be explaining what the role is. And I also like did my summer intern at a boutique consulting firm called MBM Consulting. So I also know that like you guys wouldn't have heard about consulting or like any other management terms. We'll be looking into that in detail during the session. So I'm currently doing my winter internship at another boutique consulting firm called Redseer. And I'm also an incoming summer intern at Exxon Global Services Corporation in May 2020. So that's about like a bit about my background. You can actually know more about myself in via my LinkedIn profile, and feel free to contact me via the given number. So Srini, like I guess you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. A very good evening, guys. I'm Srinivasa Kannapan. I'm currently studying at third year mechanical engineering at Ntu. So I'm a pre-final here, and my interests are operation management and management consulting. So, so for the past experiences, that like I have a strategy consultant at I was a strategy consultant at Cuddles Foundation, which is an NGO, and I did my supply chain management internship at RPPL Industries. So I'm currently pursuing my operations internship at Orient Consulting. So it's a 6 month long internship, and I have attached my LinkedIn resume below, and you can contact me at any time. So we'll go into the session.
Yeah. So thanks, Shini. I guess before the session starts, it would be better to explain you guys like what you can expect to gain from this session. So we'll be like having an introduction to the domain of management, and then like we'll be letting you guys know like why and how you can pursue a internship in the management domain. We'll also be sharing you guys our past experiences, and we also have like a basic resource list like curated for you guys. It's not like an extensive resource list, like it's the basic, and you can call it like a starter kit. So that's about it. So this brings us to our next question. What is management? So management is basically like directing a group of people or like resources or managing resources in order to achieve a particular goal in an organizational setup. So like that's the very basic definition of management. However, like the roles related with management are particularly diverse. So the major types of jobs in management that are usually pursued by a lot of people fall in one of these buckets, which is consulting, marketing, sales, finance, operations and supply chain, human resource, and general management. So let me just like give you guys a quick brief of what each of these buckets entitles to. So consulting. So coming to consulting, consulting is like say doc like it's like when you okay, yeah, let me just like give you guys an analogy. So human beings like when they get a disease or like say when they are not well, they go to a doctor. Similarly, when businesses don't perform well, they go to a consultant. So that's like an easy analogy for you guys to understand what consultants do. Marketing is basically like to ensure and promote or like build a brand for a company. Sales is to ensure like the product that is built by a company reaches the final end customer. Finance is like analyzing the profit and losses and like basically the money or the financial resources that a company holds. Operations and supply chain is something like that entitles like the entire production of a given product in a given company. Human resource is basically like the definition is in the word itself, basically like handling the human or like the people involved with the organization. And general management is basically like something which entitles some of every role that is described above. So I guess like with this, you guys can get a basic idea of what like what management is and how management roles usually are. So with this, like let's move on to the more interesting question of like why should an engineering student pursue management? So there are majorly three reasons why generally like engineering students pursue management. So first reason is like you're not so much interested in your core engineering or research. You want to try out all the available fields at your hand, and like you have prior interest in management. So these are the three major reasons which I come across are like I mean like at least in NIT Tiruchi, why like students tend to get into management or analytics. Apart from this, why you can pursue management is like in order to learn how businesses function and solve a variety of problems they face. We can also like learn how to start and run a business from scratch. So these are the exposures or these are the learnings which you can get by pursuing management studies or like analytics. So with this, like I guess like we can move on to the next topic, like types of management internship.
Yes. So there are different types of management internships, and so these are the two things. So about the research internship, you can do it in either in India or abroad. In India, most probably you can apply for IIMs. So you can cold email the professors over there. And for abroad, you can cold email the professors
Srini, I guess like your voice is not audible.
I'm audible, Ani? Hello,
Yeah, now you're audible.
Ani, am I audible?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
audible. Yeah.
So yeah, so there are two sections in company internships. They are startups and established companies. So yeah,
Okay, yeah.
so we'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just like give you guys a brief introduction or like explanation of what research internships in management entitles to. So basically, like what is a research internship in management? So when it comes to core internship or core research internships, you'll be like working under professors from like say different other engineering institutes. And when it comes to research internships in management, you'll be working under professors from various business schools or like MBA schools such as like IIMs, ISBs, and there is also this like SJM Home and FMS and many other B schools in India itself. And when it comes to abroad, like there are some other like famous business schools such as like MIT Sloan, LBS, extra, HBS, etc. and etc. So you can find a variety of list of institutes abroad and India like easily with a Google search. So we'll not be like, and you also learned like how to build databases and how to reach out to profs in the first session. Like most of the processes are like very much similar to the core internship in itself, since like professors in general tend to have the same nature. So basically, like we'll just like move a step ahead and understand what you can expect in general from this internship. So like a difference from a core research internship and a management internship is in the nature of the work involved. So you'll be like learning research methodologies and processes in case of a management research internship. And this is like usually like, so what this entitles is to like how to do an experiment. So that's what you'll be learning in a management research internship. And like what is the best way to do an experiment and how to conduct or like how to define a process. And you'll also be like doing a bit of data cleaning, scraping, entering, analyzing, and you'll also be dealing with machine learning sometimes. So these are the usual like sectors which you'll be handling in a management research internship. You'll also be like asked to conduct like customer research interviews. That is basically like reaching out to customers of a specific product or a service and understand what they think. So you'll be just like calling up people and talking with them in order to understand like how it is affecting them or like what is their viewpoint on the like hypothesis which you guys are like discussing currently. You'll also be doing a quite a bit of secondary research, which is basically like googling stuff. And I mean, it's not like random googling. You'll be like asked to read out a lot more like other research papers from different institutes, and you'll also be like working a bit on some blogs as well. The workload is usually manageable. Like you'll be working say around some if it's a remote intern, like if it's an online intern, you'll be working around say 15 to 20 hours a week. And if it's an offline intern, you'll be working full time. So that's the difference between online and offline research internships. So coming to the next part, how to apply. So how can you apply to such research internships in India? So it's basically like directly via cold mailing. Since you guys are first year in your first year and second year, you only have to leverage your interest in the field. So since like management isn't directly taught you guys in your core curriculum, you need to do some relevant courses, say in Udemy or Coursera, or like you can also do self-taken projects. Like there are a lot of self-guided projects or guided projects in YouTube which you guys can try it out once. And apart from that, you can also leverage your past achievements, say in some competition, in case you don't have prior work experience. So take part in a competitions which will be coming, like we'll be coming to that in a later part of this session. So that's about the entire how to apply part. Always like it's better to personalize the mail you send to a professor. So you need to like do a background research. Like it's very similar to what Sava said in the first session. You'll need to like it's since like cold mailing a core research professor and a management professor is not very much different. Only the content of the mail is going to change. Every other thing which you need to follow is like very much similar to in both the cases. So let's just like look at one more special tip, which is basically which was also like explained in the core session as well. Do not spam a lot of professors from the same college or domain within a short period of time, like say in a single day. This is because like you will be like flagged as a spam in case like a lot of emails come from your single email ID. And once an email ID is flagged as a spam by the trackers, your emails would be flagged as spam for all the professors in the particular university. So they have like spam trackers, and even if you like mess up with one prof, it's going to like affect the entire prof database in the like in the given institute. So that's something interesting, and I thought like it would be a heads up for you guys, and that's why I shared it over here. So when to apply for these internships, like this would be one of the major questions in your head right now. Like you wouldn't know like when to apply for these internships because like it's not like you apply today and you'll be getting the internship tomorrow. You need to prepare beforehand and have a set of documents and also start cold mailing before. So in case like you're applying for online winter internships, you can continue it during the semester itself. Like we usually used to do our online internships during the semester as well, since it was like very less work. As I said, like it's only like 10 to 15 hours work a week. However, when it comes to offline, you have to do it in a say in a given campus. Like you'd be going to the campus and working with the prof in the campus. Would most times it would be self-funded, like you would be like pitching in the money for it, or like there would be a modest stipend associated with the internship, like say 10K per month or something like that. Apart from that, like offline research internships would add like lot of value to you in terms of like the B school campus experience. So this is like a personal experience of mine. A senior of mine did his like second year summer internship at ISB in offline mode. He even had the chance to attend the classes, workshops, and events conducted for the MBA students on campus. So this is what I'm saying. Like it would add like a lot more value than just like a remote internship, like remote research internship. So time frame for like when to apply is like start mailing the props 2 months before your vacation. Like do not like message at the email them at the end of your end semester or something like that. You need to be prepared and you need to start like if you're say your end sems in May or like April, you need to start mailing the props by February, like February mid or like February third week. You can do your research and build your database in the first 2 weeks of February, and you can start mailing them by third week of February. This is because like it's not just you who will be applying for such research internships. It'll you will be competing with other students from NITs and other NITs and IITs as well. So in case you are applying for abroad, you will be competing with students from that own country, like in the country of the institution itself. So you need to keep all this in mind, and in order to beat out the competition, you'll have to like start applying earlier. So that like chances of you getting the internship is maximized. So my experience with management research internships is that like I tried for a management research internship in my second year winter. That is like last year the same month. So I mailed a lot of colleges both in India as well as abroad. However, like I wasn't able to get an internship. So the major reason was the fact that I had started mailing significantly late. So that's why like I'm emphasizing a lot on this point. You need to start mailing a lot more sooner than others. So by the time like I had started mailing, even people from our own NIT like NIT Trichy started getting internships. So when others got an internship, that's when I started mailing. So that's why you need to so I started in November end and December was end sem. So as you can see, like that wasn't the efficient thing to do. You need to start mailing by say October or September, so that like you get a proper internship by the end of say November end or like December starting. So also like when it comes to abroad research internships, they carry in a good amount of luck factor involved. Like it's not like Indian remote internships. Usually like abroad B schools take in students from their own campus or country for internships. This is because like you will be like handling or like dealing with people from that country for the research purpose. So COVID helped like a few Indian students get remote internships, but the given shifting trend right now, it might be difficult for your batch to get remote research internships abroad. So my advice is do not just like put all your eggs in abroad research internships and try simultaneously for Indian research internships. So all in all, put together, usually like management research internships add a lot of value in case you're gonna do like MIM program. Like after the MIMs is like master in management. In case you guys are interested, you can look into what MIM is, and it is done post your undergraduation. Say like undergraduation at NIT Trichy. And MIMs are usually valuable done abroad. So in case like if you are interested in MIMs, you can go for management research internships. Like that's the usual trend. Or say like if you are doing PhD in management, like then you can go for management research internships. Management research internships generally like I'm being like I'm emphasizing a lot on that generally part. Generally don't add a lot of value to like say company internship per se. Like say you're applying for a company, you can't really leverage your management research experience in order to like talk in the interview or like say it doesn't really qualify as a relevant experience in my opinion. That's what I'm saying, because like the culture involved in a management research internship and like a management internship say at a startup or a company is drastically different. Like say like from the nature of the work to the organization structure to the amount of time involved and the work you do, everything is different. So basically you can say it as an experience and say that like you weren't really like you really put your time to good use. That's that. And it also adds like a lot of brand value to your resume. However, apart from that, like in case you're interested in like startups and companies and like working after your undergraduation, I would say like prefer like startup and company internships over management research internships. So with that, like I get to our next topic, which is basically internships at startups. So coming to startups, so basically a startup is a company or like a organization that has come into existence like I mean like they haven't been in existence in the market for a longer period of time. They just like recently started, and startups can be like either bootstrapped or like funded. So what's the difference between this? Bootstrapped is when like the founder of the startup basically like puts in all the money or like invests money from his own pocket in order to run the startup or like in order to handle the operations of the startup. Funded is basically when like the founder of the startup pitches his idea to like say various funding agencies or like venture capital firms and tries getting some amount of funding for in order to run his startup by transferring equity of the startup. So equity in sense like shares of the startup. So like the founder wouldn't be like holding like 100 percentage value of the startup. Instead, like the venture capital firm would also be like holding a significant percentage in the equity or like say the shares of the startup. So that's what like the basic classification of startups is, like bootstrapped and funded. So if you ask me like which type of startup is a good startup to internet, say like is it a bootstrap startup or like a funded startup? I would say like more than the bootstrap nature or the funded nature, it is the problem that the startup is like aiming to solve that matters a lot, and like the people involved with the startup. So these are the two things I usually see or like I usually do research about before applying for internships at a startup. So that's basically something which I wanted to share with you guys. With that, like we'll move on to the next question, which is basically like what to expect in general from startup internships. So we saw like what research internships entitled to and like what an intern say in a general research internship does. So what does an intern in a general say at a startup internship does? So you will be experiencing proper startup culture wherein every work has direct impact. So say like in a research internship, like you will be like doing some works that doesn't really add value to a project. However, like when it comes to a startup internship, you will be like each and every work which you do is going to directly impact the final result. You'll be having a steep learning curve with deliverables set by yourself. Generally in startup, you can actually like extend the scope of your project by yourself, like if you are really interested in it and if you are able to manage the work. So you'll be having that flexibility and you'll be having the ownership of the work you do. Like it's not like you aren't accountable. You'll be accountable to the founder or like the person who gave you the internship or like your manager. But at the same time, you'll be owning each and everything which you do in a start, like in a say at a startup internship. And at the same time, like it might be paid or unpaid. It depends on entirely on the work culture or the nature of the startup. It is not like highly funded startups or like highly great startups would be paying their interns, and recently started startups would not be paying their interns. It's not like that. Even early stage startups would be paying their interns in case like they find value in them. So it's basically like what value you add to the startup and the nature of the founder or like say the usual work culture in the startup that decides your pay. So pay is something like that's completely variable and basically like it's not in your, it's something not like not you should think about. So that's about like a general introduction of a startup internship. So however like the exact what is the exact work that you would do at a startup? So that basically like depends on the role, like which role of the internship that you get at a startup. So since you guys are completely new to management, you wouldn't know the usual roles that are offered as internships at startups. So I made like a general list of usual roles that are offered as startups for internship positions. So we'll be like going through each of these roles quickly, and I'll be explaining what you would be doing like in each of these roles. So the first role is like this is like the most common role in most of the startups is business development intern. So in my opinion, it's basically like a different term for sales intern. What you'd be generally doing is like you'll be pitching the product of the startup to various potential customers, and you'd be trying to make a sale. That's what you'd be doing, developing the business. So that brings us to the next role, which is business analyst intern. So what's the difference between like business development intern and business analyst intern? So when it comes to a business analyst intern, you'd be like instead of like pitching the products and cold mailing and like trying to sell the product of the startup, you'd be analyzing why the product is not selling, or like in case like the startup has new product, you'd be analyzing like when the startup should be like releasing the product and such stuff. Like you'd be analyzing each and every business processes in the startup, and you know, and you'd be like working on strategies or with the founder in order to like improve the efficiency of the business processes that is like already existing in the startup. So that's the major difference between business development intern and business analyst intern. Also, like an important tip about this list is that you can directly search the roles provided over here on LinkedIn. Like we'll come to that later, and you can directly find out, say, opportunities per se directly. Content strategy. So coming to the next role, which is content strategy intern. I guess like that's pretty familiar with you guys. It's basically like writing content posts or like deciding what content should go up on the social media platforms, or like deciding like what theme or like what the final aim of the content which the startup is going, like which the post should entitle to. So this brings us to the next interesting role. So I would say like this is kind of the most interesting role which you could get at a startup, founder of a intern. Usually like this role is not really like available in every startup. So what this internship like entitles is to, you'll be like put in a put like assigned as a intern directly under the founder, and you'll be like working in the day-to-day activities that the founder like tells you to do. So this internship is like basically completely dependent on the job description, and there isn't really like a fixed role or responsibilities that come with this internship. You'll be like working from Excel models to cold calling to all like going with the founder to pitch meetings, etc. and etc. Investment analyst intern. So you'd be basically deciding. So this type of internship is like specific only to venture capital firms. So what this role entitles is to, you'll be like analyzing various startups, their founders, like on a various different parameters, and you'll be judging if an investment is made in the startup, would it be a good investment? So you'll be calculating ROA is like return on investment of the money which is put into the startup. So usually these kind of startups are only available at venture capital firms. So this brings us to the next role, which is marketing interns. So marketing interns like work very closely with the content strategy team. They also decide on usually in startups. They also decide on the like type of content that is going to go up on the social media. They'll also be deciding on. They'll also be like deciding and executing various marketing events and like marketing channels for the startup, so that like the startup has a good brand. The next role is market research interns. So usually such roles are usually like niche to consulting firms. So you'd be like working in as a market research intern at a consulting firm or like say at a startup, and you'd be analyzing what's the current trend or like what is the current data which is available for the market in which the startup is performing. So the next role is operations intern. So this is like pretty clear. Operations is like I said, you'd be like you'd be analyzing the processes from the start of the production of the product to the end sale. So you could be like placed in anywhere in the value chain, and you'd be like assigned a few specific processes to do. So that's what like operations intern entitles to. Product management intern is basically you'd be analyzing the KPIs, which is like key performances indexes of a product. Say like it could be anything. It could be a mobile app or like a web app, and you'd be judging like what are the features in the product that the customers are using a lot, what are the features in the product that the customers aren't using a lot, and what are the features that the startup should build next, so that like they can achieve the goals which are set by the founder or like the entire organization. So that's what like a product management intern usually entitles to. They usually like work very closely with the product, and it's more of a techno managerial role than just a managerial role. You would also be like involved with a bit of coding in most of the product management internships. It's not like in most. However, in some of the product management internships, like they'd be expecting you to do a little bit of coding. So this brings us to the next, which is like research analyst intern. So this role is like very similar to market research interns. You'd be like assigned a specific report to work upon, and you'd need to search like data points and other stuff, and in order to build the report. So and you'd also be like conducting ad hoc analysis. I mean like say Excel analysis in order to find out the end data. User research intern is something like which I did. So this role is like very much similar to product management intern. The only difference is that you'd be like focusing only on the users compared to the product. You'd be like putting on KPIs, and you'd be analyzing parameters which the users by which like you can understand what the users want. So that's basically what like user research intern is. So a final tip: all of these roles aren't mutually exclusive. Like I explained, content strategy and marketing intern are very much similar. Research analyst intern and market research intern are very much similar. Operations intern and founder office intern are like sometimes very much similar. So these roles aren't really mutually exclusive, and it is the job description that gives a clear idea of the responsibilities associated with the role. So like before you apply for an internship at a startup, you need to read the job description thoroughly, and only if you like the job description or like the problem which the startup is solving, you need to go ahead and apply for the startup. So that brings us to the next question, which is basically how to apply for a startup internship. So this like is a very interesting point, which would be like pretty new for you guys, since like you guys are in your first year and second year, you wouldn't really be uh, like understanding the importance of networking. So basically, you can apply to a startup internship via your existing contacts, which is basically family, seniors, friends. Say like you have a family friend who is the founder of a startup. You can directly approach him and ask for an internship. Like it could be paid or unpaid. Like that's entirely dependent on the value which you are going to add. However, like this channel is the easiest way to get a startup internship, because like you'd be basically having a referral in order to get the job. So even if the job role isn't really that available in the startup, they'd be even willing to take you into the startup and give you some internship. So this is like the easiest channel to get a startup internship. So what if I don't really have like existing contacts in the startup, like say family, like there aren't any family friends or seniors or some other friends in the startup. So what to do in that case? So this brings us to the next point, which is basically like you just need to build out the contacts. And how are you going to build out the contacts? It's using LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the most famous professional networking tool, which is like kind of used by most of the professionals in the industry. So LinkedIn is, I hope like you guys would have heard about like what LinkedIn is, at least the second years. So we'd be like just like taking a look into basics of creating profile and available features. So let me just like open my LinkedIn profile so that it will be easier for you guys to understand what LinkedIn is. So yeah, just a second. So yeah, as you can see over here, this is basically the feeds. Like LinkedIn is very much similar to Facebook, in my opinion. It's not like Insta, however, like it's very much similar to Facebook. So as you can see over here, like this is basically my profile, and this is called the headline. So in the headline, you just like give a very short introduction about yourself and what you do and where you have worked before. And apart from that, like you also can like there are a lot of things associated with the LinkedIn profile, and I'm since due to time constraints, I'm just going to keep it short. Like LinkedIn in itself can put in as a separate session. So let's just like I'm going to keep it short so that it doesn't intimidate you guys a lot. So you can also like write a short paragraph explaining about what you do and what are your interests again over here. Like however, like it is the headline that will be visible when you see another person's account. So you would be like mentioning each of your experiences over here, and also your like volunteering experiences, education, and achievements. So it's basically like an online resume, or like say like it's basically a resume that goes on a social media platform. So something similar to that. That's how you would define LinkedIn. So how is this going to help you get contacts? So this brings us to our next point. Like as you can see over here, like there is separate tab for my network, wherein you can basically like send out connection requests to different people on LinkedIn, and you can basically like connect with them and talk with them. So I landed like two of my internships, like my summer internship and the winter internship that I currently doing only via LinkedIn. Like I basically connected with people on LinkedIn in the companies or like in the startups I wanted to, and I basically asked them if there is a open role for internship. Like I'm Anirudh, and so I just introduced myself and I asked them like if there is an open role for internship, and they were interested in my profile and they basically like call me for an interview. Like that's it. Like that's the process involved with LinkedIn on how to apply for internships. Like it's directly simple. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, I didn't really like believe in the power of networking in my second year. I just like thought like it's just like some random things, and like internships or getting internships like is very structured way, and only like you need to only apply to the company profile, or only if the company comes on campus you'd be able to get an internship. Like those were my thoughts in my second year. However, like only in my third year, like when I was able to build a significant amount of network, I was able to understand how easily I was able to leverage my network in order to gain internships. So I hope like you guys can look into the internet on how to network on LinkedIn. Like there are a lot of YouTube videos and other courses like explaining how to network on LinkedIn. So over here, like I just like given you guys like a short template to start with on how to connect with people. So this is how like so basically like when you try connecting with the people, say I'm just like clicking randomly connect. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So let's just like go ahead and try connecting with this person. So as you can see over here, like when I try connecting, you can like just add a note over here. So what happens is like you can introduce yourself even while connecting itself via LinkedIn. So this is the message I used for like networking with people in order to get the internship which I'm currently doing. So as you can just like give a short read through it. Like I will be sharing the presentation with you guys. So that brings us like, so like in case you don't really like get a lot of internships via LinkedIn, like you tried connecting with a lot of people, it's taking like networking would take a lot of time. Like networking, you cannot build a network over the night. Like it is a very slow process, and you'd be like it would minimum take like say 3 to 6 months. So if you need an intern in your say in your summer, you need to start networking for it right now. Like at least send connection requests, understand the industry, follow people who are like very famous in the industry, or follow companies which are very famous in the industry, and understand what's happening in the industry. So that's what like basically, or like that's how basically you need to use LinkedIn to your advantage. So say like you don't really want to do all this, you basically like want to be a little more I mean structure, or like say a little more organized, or like something like that. You can basically do a Google search for say any of these roles over here in India. So a simple Google search will actually like, give you a lot of open jobs and availabilities, and you just need to apply through the company portal over there. And Angel List is something portal which like basically collates all internships or like job offers available at startups in India or like abroad, and you can basically apply via Angel List. You can also look into VC firm websites, like VC instance, like venture capital firms websites, wherein the venture capital firms would be like basically mentioning the job offers and internship offers available at the companies they fund. So one famous example is like Y Combinator. So if you go to Y Combinator's website, there will be like a lot of cohorts, and you can just like click on a company, say in a given cohort, and apply for any job or internship that's open in the company. You can also like connect with the founders via like Y Combinator website instead of LinkedIn as well. So that's just something I wanted you guys to know.
Yeah.
So like I said,
So we'll go ahead with
yeah,
the internship at established companies. So yeah, what do you get expect in general from the internship? So you usually get paid at established companies, and the brand name will be really helpful in the established companies. So I would really recommend to try out the internships at established companies. So intern at established companies. So like I did an internship at Orient Consulting, which offers SAP solutions to different clients. So you can get internship access through different modes like as LinkedIn, Google search, and company portal. But most probably they'll be looking for greater skills because most of the roles are paid. So your resume should be precise, and you should have a very good resume by working at different startups. So before you go for an internship at established companies, make sure that you have some 2 or 3 internships at startups or different firms. That will be really helpful. So when do you apply to the companies? So you have to start at least 1 or 1.5 months before. That will be really helpful. So yeah. So I guess thank you so much, guys. I'll just hand it over to the
yeah.
Nishi. Yeah.
Thank you guys for such a detailed session on management and analytics. Next, I would like to talk about software. So first, I'll present. Are you guys? Uh, okay, so first of all, this is about software internships. So apart from research, core, management, etc., we have software internships as well, software and analytics through training and placement. First, about me, I'm Nishi Agrawal, a coding enthusiast with web development as the primary domain of interest for me. Then currently, I'm a part of Delta Force, the official web team of NIT Trichy, outreach and media lead at CodeShift. Then my internship experiences. So I started working through startups first. Uh, uh, the startup interns could be unpaid, paid, as my friends already told. Then have actively contributed in open source. I'll be talking about open source as well throughout my presentation. Then I secured an internship offer at Goldman Sachs through the training and placement cell of NIT Trichy. That was about me. Now, what are our main topics? How to begin, important aspects, online tests, CS fundamentals, enough opportunities that are there for us, and the opportunities for you guys, second years especially. Then, experience, my personal experience in startups, then the resume building and resources. So, how to begin? So first of all, when you start learning, when you decide that you want to go into software, you should start with one programming language like C++ or Python or JavaScript or anything Java may basically. So I started with C++. I would suggest starting with C++ or Python. It's better to start off with these. Then you can choose a domain of interest. Like once you learn a programming language, you should choose a domain where you would do your projects. For example, web development is there, app development is there. Some of them are system admins like DevOps. Some do machine learning, and some are interested in artificial intelligence. So first, you should explore. You should give yourself some time and come up with your area of interest, your area of comfort, and start taking up projects or doing projects in that domain. Now, yeah, so for getting an internship, what are the most important aspects that we have to work on for getting any software internship, any coding related internship of sorts? You need communication, projects, and problem solving skills. Why communication? To help you crack the interview, to help you work with a team, to help you do projects with a team, you need to have a good communication skills. So for that, what you have to do, you have to interact with people, with groups, try applying in clubs, and try working in teams with people on projects, and discuss ideas with friends, participate in events, in debates that are there in the college, and it will help you improve your communication. So I joined Toastmasters, and it helped me a lot in improving my communication throughout my second year. Then projects. You should, once you are familiar with one programming language, you can start doing projects. What I believe is learn by doing. Like if I want to learn some stack, I take up a project and I do that project in that stack. That's how I learn. Like once I learn something, I will have a project to showcase that I have learned something, so that I can link it through my resume and my profile. I can add it in my portfolio or something. I will talk about my portfolio and profile, like resume as well, in the coming slides. So that is what I would suggest: learn by doing. Take like once you have done an intern, or you have done a good project, it helps you a lot to talk in the interview and ace the interviews. Then problem solving, this is a very 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 important skill. I'm stressing upon this because be it any company, you take in Google, you take in Microsoft, or you take in any analytics company such as Gshaw or anything, they will ask you DSA questions, or they might ask you puzzles. They might even tell you to forget everything and start from scratch. For example, if they ask you some probability questions, uh, it is basically a problem solving skill that comes into play during the interview. So, how do we work on our problem solving skills? Start early. Do do data structures and algorithms questions daily. How I started was I started doing questions in January when I was in second year. Then sometimes we are busy with exams and all, so there were breaks. But I kept doing for some time, and then I properly started doing data structures and algorithms in my summer holidays. So try doing one or two questions per day when your semester is going on. And when you have holidays, when you have time, you can, do some 10-20 questions per day and increase speed. So participate in contests with friends. Actually, problem solving can be very boring as well if you do it alone. So I would suggest making a group of people who, have the similar interests, and then you can do the questions with them. I too have a group, and then we discuss, do our own problems, and then we discuss with each other, and then we participate in contests together. So it makes it very interesting. Next is the online test. So, how is the online test for a company? Here, I'm talking more about the internships through training and placement cell. Like offline, also the off campus, also the procedure is comparatively similar, but the level of difficulty is a little bit higher in off campus internships compared to on campus internships. So it is easier to get shortlisted through the on-campus online test compared to off-campus online test. The level of questions differs, the cutoff might differ, and the competition will differ, because here you are just competing with the students in NITTG, and then you might differ with the students throughout. Okay, so and yeah, so coding questions. There are two or three coding questions in an online test usually for uh, most of the companies. So how this works is you will have a timed test. Sometimes the companies will have online tests which are sectionally timed. For example, in Goldman Sachs, my coding test, my online test was uh, timed based on each sections. Like coding, for two coding questions I got 30 minutes. For the advanced coding question I got 45 minutes. For aptitude I had some 30 minutes. For maths I had some 30 minutes, like that. Some online tests can be like 3 hours. You have 5 sections, but you have to do it in 3 hours cumulative. So it depends. So how do we increase our speed? Practice and practice. Practice is very important for online tests. You have to start early, and you have to practice a lot, so that you can ace the online tests when the companies start coming in for campus internships. So yeah, how are the coding questions in the online test? Mostly medium, easy to medium level questions, but I would suggest doing some hard level questions as well, because you never know when the companies might increase their bar. And as far as I remember, the companies that start coming in the starting will have competitive coding questions as well in their online test, apart from data structures and algorithms. So you have to be practicing some code, like competitive level questions also through CodeChef or Codeforces or such websites which offer competitive coding questions. Then CS fundamentals. This is a very important aspect. Like there can be input output questions, and there can be multiple choice questions. Questions can be based on oops, can be based on languages. For example, C++, they have given you some code and you have to find out the output, or what is wrong with the output, or true false based question, something like that. Aptitude and reasoning. Aptitude is an important and integral part for all the training placement internships that come in, like be it core internship or management or coding or analytics. Aptitude is an important part, and it will mostly be there in all the company internship online tests. So the aptitude in maths that is there is mostly J level type, but if you have a good practice through interview bit or something, you can do it quickly, and you can increase your chance of getting in and making less mistakes in the online test. So that is about the online test. Now CS fundamentals, as I've already covered, like there will be basic concepts like OS or operating system, then there will be database management system, networking, and OOPS. These are the four very very important concepts that you have to cover. So when do we start covering these CS fundamentals? I would suggest start doing data structures and algorithms as soon as you get time. Like this is the right time. You have holidays for some time, and then your semester is about to start in the end of December, I guess. So December itself. So I think before your CT1, you will have enough time to work on something else apart from academics, so you can practice more questions right now, and then be a little lenient on yourself, and like you can just reduce the number of questions that you solve per day for some time later. So now you can start working on data structures and algorithms. Once you're good in data structures and algorithms by March or April, you can start working on CS fundamentals, your communication skills, your research about internships, like your research about companies basically, like what is the work, that what kind of work is done, and are you prepared for that or not, and stuff like that. So you will need some time in the end, so it is better if you start solving problems and puzzles now itself. The websites that I referred for CS fundamentals were Geeks for Geeks and Interview Bits. Geeks for Geeks last minute notes are very nice, last minute notes, and for puzzles also Geeks for Geeks is best. So just visit this website, and I've given the resources. I've attached all the resources in the end, so you can just go through and cover the fundamentals from there. Then yeah, are there enough opportunities? So there are enough opportunities for all the departments. Mostly speaking about mechanical, lot of companies will open, including Goldman, including Oracle, including AB InBev, BNY Mellon. So many companies are there, so you need not worry that will companies open for you or not. If you are in a non-circuital department, they will open and they will take you if you are good enough. So how to be good enough? That is what we are telling you right now. Prepare early, start early, make sure that you keep up with the timeline, and complete before the companies start coming in. Now work experience, internships and work experience that you do before the company start coming in is a very very important, play a very very important role in your resume, your profile when the companies come in. So where to look for? LinkedIn, Internshala, and startups. See, as my friend already said, family, friends, seniors. I also got all my startup internships through my friends and seniors mostly. So you can also get through LinkedIn. Recently, I got a like an internship opportunity in a startup through LinkedIn. They themselves stalk your profile and they reach out to you if there is something. You can also reach out to them for some work experience in case you're interested in their work. You can stalk them on LinkedIn. Then Internshala offers a lot of startups, but there are a lot of opportunities available on Internshala. But since it's offline, and You might not be able to go and do an internship, remote internships. If you are able to manage, you can surely take up. And the startups by seniors are the best way to get this work experience. Like you get a lot of exposure. I'll be talking about startups separately later. So that is there about opportunities. So what are the available opportunities, especially for second years? The best opportunity at the moment that is available for people who are interested in coding is Google Summer of Code. Like Google Summer of Code is something that that will take you time, obviously, to prepare, and you will have to give a lot of efforts and all. But it is worth it. It will add a lot of value to your resume in case you get selected, and it is internationally recognized. So it is the best opportunity available at the moment. And when is the right time to start? Now. Most of the students start preparing for Google Summer of Code right in November and December. Like I started preparing very late for this. I started preparing in March, and that was a major reason why I was not able to get through. But I would suggest, if you want to seriously get into Google Summer of Code, you should start now. Go through the projects, shortlist, then apply, then like work on them and contribute, apply, and there is a lot basically that you have to put in for Google Summer of Code. Then Google Step Intern. Yeah, this is already going on. The process is already going on. Some students have already received the mails for call. Microsoft Engage. So this comes in April. Yeah, last time it came in April. Basically, we had Microsoft Code as earlier for girls. Then they expanded it and made it for inclusive for guys as well. So it's both for girls and boys. So it is a little bit difficult. The online test round is difficult. It had 3 coding questions. One was competitive programming, one was data structures and algorithms, and one was algorithmic analysis based. Then there were 13 theoretical questions, and we had to complete all of this in 45 minutes. So 3 coding questions and theory questions with description and analysis, time and complexity analysis and all. So the coding test was really difficult, I remember. But if you complete some part of it, you might get shortlisted. So if you want to get Microsoft Engage, you should be very good in doing the coding questions. Basically, from now onwards, you should start. Then there is this opportunity of open source programs. Like I basically tried a lot. I put my hands in so many open source programs that were possible for me, like the Delta Winter of Code, then Girl Script Summer of Code. Then there is Hacktoberfest. These are like really good opportunities for you to, you know, show that you are interested in development, and you can, in second year, some people already ask, like it is very difficult to put in your resume your work experience or your projects sometimes. So these open source contributions can help you, get a recognition, and you can put your certificates, or you can even get internship opportunities in the organizations that are sponsoring these. For example, I contributed in Hacktoberfest in an organization which was sponsoring it, and they offered me an internship opportunity there as well. But that is that, and it is a very good startup in Bangalore. Then in Girls Hip Summer of Code also, once you start contributing, there are a lot of good organizations that are sponsoring it, and you can top 25 students get opportunities, internship opportunities as well in the same. Then there is Google Kickstart. So Google Kickstart, basically it is a competitive coding contest, international competitive coding contest, and it is very difficult as well. But if you are practicing your data structures and algorithms questions and doing some competitive questions, you can, do Google Kickstart for practice. And if you you always get a certificate once you solve 1 or 2 questions. So um, if you solve these questions, if you solve these questions, then you get a certificate and you can present your rank in there. That is there. Then experience in startups. So my experience in startups has been really great. Like I applied for unpaid startups at first, and now I'm applying for paid startups as well. So there is a great exposure. It is easier to apply through LinkedIn or Internship, as I already told, and you can apply through seniors or alumni. You can just message them, or you can mail them, or message them on LinkedIn, and you can get the opportunities. It does provide an extra edge in on-campus internships because you have this experience section in your resume. Next is resume building. My friends have already covered most of the points that are there for technical resume. I would suggest DD format for software internships if you are applying off campus. For on campus, you will have the training and placement self format. So if you want to check my resume, it's over here. It is linked over here. You can check how to put in. Most important thing I would like to suggest is do not bluff. Add and highlight those skills which you think you are good at, and if they ask you, you can answer them. So like if I put a project and if I highlight some technical aspects in that, I make sure that I can answer them if they ask something from that. A higher Cgpa obviously helps you a lot. It helps in tie breaking between candidates. It helps providing an extra edge because you might be good at a catch. So obviously they would look for you. Then bullet points. Obviously no one likes reading descriptions, so it's good that you bullet the points in the resume. And these are the resources that I've linked. So these are the important links. Cracking the coding interview handbook. This is for competitive programming if you're interested. Then CSES is also competitive programming. Binarysearch.com and this important sheet are for DSA. So if you are starting, then start now itself. It's the right time to start. Open this sheet and start doing questions over here. And there are some extra resources over here. And yeah, this is my contact and this is my portfolio. So you can reach out to me on Gmail using this Gmail ID, or else you can just stalk me on LinkedIn. All the links and everything, even my resume is available on my portfolio. So you can check it out later through this PPT. That's it for software. Now I'll be taking questions. Okay, so yeah, the question and answer session begins. If you have any questions, just put them in the comment section and we'll be taking in some questions. Okay, someone asked, can I do an internship at Research Institute? Will it be considered for 2 credits? Savar, would you like to answer this?
Your it will always be considered like the one you do in your third year at a research institute will be considered, not the one you do in your second year. I think that answers your questions. And yes, it will be for 2 credits. Yeah, I
Okay.
guess we can move to the next question.
How to prepare resume for for one's first project or internship, considering we have nothing else to showcase other than our CGPA and marks. Who would like to take up this?
So I would like to take up this question. So so the best thing is that if you're really interested to work in management side, like you can approach startup companies, so they don't even look for anything else. So they just look for your active participation over there. So you have to be interested. That's it. So that will be really helpful. Other than that, that the startup internships will be really helpful for applying for internships in established firms. So do apply for startup internships. That will be really helpful.
Okay, next question is, should I start preparing right from the beginning or from second year or henceforth? It's good that you start preparing early. If you start preparing in December, January itself, like now itself, it will be good because it will provide you enough time to work on your weaker points and extra things. How can a mechanical student get foreign internships, say in Germany? What are the requirements, and generally, what qualities do these companies, both core and IT, look for in a candidate? Okay. Who would like to take this up?
Yeah, I'll go for one part of the question. Now, when we talk about research internships, you have two options. One is directly cold mailing the prof, and the other is relying on fellowship programs that basically act as exchange services. Now, most of the fellowships do require you to find your own host professor. Let's say, for instance, DARD wise, you'll have to anyway have a database of professors that you like and contact them, obtain an internship offer from them. You'll need to have an actual letter of acceptance before you can apply for fellowships that actually require you to get an acceptance from a host professor. However, there are fellowships that match you without even having you require to get an acceptance from a host professor. But that's about research internships. Even if you do have an acceptance, but if you don't get through the fellowship, you can always go via personal funding. There's no hassle over there. About yeah, that's about core and IT. Also, I hope that's the same thing. If anyone else wants to take a part, they can go ahead.
Mostly in IT, for IT and companies like management and all, they look for good communication skills, for problem solving skills, as I already emphasized. Communication skills are a must basically.
To add upon that, the later part of question says requirement and general qualities. So it's less likely to get an abroad internship in your second year. So it's better to try out one. But if you have other experience, one in India, maybe IIT or NIT, it would be good to approach the abroad prof or companies, whatever.
Yeah, actually, for example, if you take Google Summer of Code, as I already mentioned, most of the organizations might be like from Europe or some other countries. So if they want to take someone from India, first they will look for, if you're available or not, if you're prompt or not, how is your response, if you're responsive or not, like your communication skills again, and that is what they will look for. So that is what you need to work upon if you want to get into foreign internships. Next question. What kind of work are we expected to do once we join a professor? Can you share some of the work you did during your internships? Who would like to take this up?
Mm, if I am assuming that it's a research internship, so at start you will be given a problem statement, or you can also work upon a problem statement. First step is problem statement. You should have a problem statement in your hand. The second thing is you will be doing a literature review. You will be reading all papers related to that particular domain or particular work. You will be what is the existing technology in that particular domain. You will be collecting all results, everything. That is what literature review is. Second, the next part of internship comes. You will actually start working upon it. You will see what works and what doesn't works. Maybe you'll take up some existing technology. You will work on it and see what improvements have to be done. Or you can always think creative also. You can start something very new also. That's how your work progress. If you get a very good result, you can publish it as a paper.
Okay, so next question is how to apply for foreign research groups like MyTax and DART and others, and how to increase chances in getting them.
Okay. Shall I go with it?
Cool,
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. These programs, okay, most of these programs usually have their procedures listed in their websites. Do look up their websites, keep track of when they open up. They usually open their deadlines uh, a few months before they actually give you the internship offer. So be on the lookout for that. What you should do, however, to prepare for it is get all your documents in place, keep your transcripts and your rank certificates if you want up to date. We had already talked about this. If you're in your X semester, get every document that you have till the previous semester up to that. Build your resume, and about how to increase your chances on getting them. Well, maintain a good CGPA, I would say. It is not the deciding factor, but in most of these, it is a very good selection criteria. And have good research work that makes basically reflects your potential. That is, it shows what you have to offer if you're given a project to work over there. and definitely have really good letters of recommendation from the professors who you have worked under. Yeah.
Just to add to it, okay, fine. I guess we can move to the next question there. Are
Okay,
there any,
so
yeah, are there any
yeah, yeah.
aerospace internships? Well, there are multiple aerospace interns. If you're looking for companies, you have you like if you're looking for public sector companies, you have ISRO. If you're ISRO in India, like generally the thing with public sector companies is you need to have there is a nationality criterion. So if you're thinking that you're going to get into NASA as your first intern and all, you can leave the hope. Like that doesn't generally happen. So yeah, you can try for ISRO, but yeah, again they don't take second years. Even their first go to will be masters students, etc., like that. But yeah, you can apply apply to ISRO. There is space SAC, that's the Space Activity Center. So you have all that. You can apply to that. If you want projects, like if you are interested in projects in the aerospace department in India, most of the major national institutes have aerospace. So like you can most IITs in that manner have aerospace. Other than that, if you're looking for company based aerospace interns, you have Boeing, you have Airbus, you have Safran, Pratt and Whitney. All these will provide you internships, but again, these require previous experience, which you can gain only through projects. So in your second year, try for aerospace at least, try getting research interns because they are much simpler than getting a company intern.
Can first years do interns? Surely you can. You can look for work experience in startups, and you can work with your relatives, and you can easily work in your seniors or alumni startups and gain some experience over there. And it is a very good thing that if you are thinking of starting earlier. But yeah, make sure that you are focusing on academics as well, because CG is an important criteria, as we all mentioned already. So focus on your acads as well. If you can manage, it's good to start early.
Check on implant training too.
Yeah. Should the internship we choose be department specific or based on interests? It's not like you have to stick to the department specific internships only. You can look for the work experience in the field which you are interested in. So start early, explore, and choose what you are interested in. How will machine learning be aiding my mechanical career? Because I actually like that course very much, but I don't exactly know how it is going to help me in any way. Divya,
Uh,
would you like to take
yeah.
this?
So, if you are asking about pure machine learning, yeah, you can always switch your career to machine learning, AI, and stuff. Because you can take Nishi and me as an example. I'm working in AI and she's working in software. We are both from mechanical, so you can always switch your career. If you're asking about machine learning in mechanical engineering career, there are a lot of applications in mechanical engineering. For example, in industry sectors, uh, especially in industry 4.0, there are a lot of application automation happening that require machine learning, deep learning, AI stuff. You can go with it. Just start studying machine learning basics and do some courses, grab basics, then apply for any internships if you're still interested in the domain.
At what semester or year are students recommended to take on these internships? The earlier you start, the better it is. But yeah, you have to manage your studies as well as other responsibilities that you might be having. For example, your clubs and teams. But on and it's not like you have to do internships only. You can work on some good projects also. That also helps you learn a lot. So that would be it, I guess. Anyone else, if you want to add something?
Yeah, before
You
doing
could.
an internship or project, you have to explore what your interest exactly is. You can't randomly do internship or projects. It's not of any use to your future. So, as a first year student or second year student, initial for first year student, you should be exploring what you're interested in. And second year, if you are already explored, you can go for any internships or projects. It's best time to start.
Yeah. Cool. So that was about the Q&A session that we had. Apart from that, if you have any more queries, you can always reach out to us. Most of us have attached our contact details in the end of the PPTs, and we will be providing our PPTs through the comment section. And you can always reach out to Mechanical Engineering Association for getting our contacts or getting the resources, and we will be very glad to help you out throughout your internship process. All the best for your endeavors.
Yeah. All the best, guys.
All the
Yep.
best, guys.
Good luck to everyone.